This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And we are back here live with Debra Hodgen, our biodynamic craniosacral therapist from Debra Hodgen Wellness. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. Beautiful day in California, or what?
It's been very warm. Today's gone down a tink.
Yeah,
But it is still nice, and we always have a great little breeze.
of
So that
course.
sort of washes the worst of the heat away.
Well, good for you. We're in New York, feeling a little bit like fall, kids going back to school, and people need to feel better overall. And you're here today to talk about the work you do. If you're not familiar with Debra Hodgen, we're going to learn. We're going to kind of go back and cover our basics because we have been talking to her over the past few weeks or months, I should say, right? And excited to find out more. Let's start off with what exactly is biodynamic craniosacral therapy?
So, biodynamic craniosacral therapy is a very gentle, non-invasive therapy, and it can be good for all sorts of things. But what we do as practitioners is we have a way of listening to the body. Usually we have our hands around a part of the client's body and listen for the rhythms, the flow. Main place we listen is in the cerebral spinal fluid. So starting at that triangular bone at the bottom of your spine, we're listening all the way as it goes up because this craniosacral spinal fluid will go up and over to about here, from the tailbone to up and over. So if we're listening and there seems to be a little bit of stuckness
Yeah.
or it doesn't seem to be flowing, that gives us an indication like, oh, behind that person's shoulder blade, there may be some issue. And usually people come for a particular thing, something that hurts, and we can feel that in the cerebral spinal fluid, and that relates to the nervous system. So every part of the body connects to the nervous system, and we can feel into that as well. But the nice thing about it is it doesn't really have a limit as to what kind of things you can work on or what kind of method that we're creating. So I really like the modality.
Well, and how long have you been doing it for? Just tell us a little bit of your background.
I started, I was doing it a little before this, but I actually got my certification in 2007. I went through part of the course twice because I had moved to New York. And so when I came back, I started over again and then also practicing. We do a lot of practice. It's a 700-hour training for a
Yeah.
craniosacral. And usually people even do more than that with other things they add. So, yeah, so 2007 is when I began practicing.
Okay. And, for people, who've never experienced it, we're going to talk a little bit about next what we do experience and what specifically happens during that
Okay.
session. Yeah.
So, in general, there's some deviations, but in general, a person will walk into the treatment room and will sit, especially for a first-time client, we'll sit and we'll chat and find out what things they want to address and what's been going on for them. And sometimes it even moves a little bit into things in the past, any traumas or things like that. So then I will often just say to the person, how exactly do you feel right now? Before we even start a session, where are you starting from? And that can be very important. And so then they get on a table, a massage table. They're fully clothed. And as a biodynamic practitioner, I can start anywhere in the body. Very often I'll start at the feet and get a sense of the whole energy field for that person and help them to settle. And it's also real important with the session to just really be aware of as many things as you can. Who you are, what's the date, where are you right now? And finding things in the room that are pleasant to you, like you really like that little painting in the corner or something. And so once the person is settled, then you can begin the work. And there's a wide range of how much people can open to it. Some folks just naturally have a little bit of a block or a little bit of resistance. Um, but most of the time, people do begin to soften and open into it. And I'll ask folks what they're feeling. How are they experiencing? Some people feel a lot, some people feel a little. I've found just over the years that people who have some sort of a meditation practice or do something that helps them connect, they seem to be more open to the work than somebody who's not. And so I'll move to different parts of the body based on partly what I feel and try to get, and sometimes you'll get to an area and they didn't even know that they had something going on there. And then at the end of the session, I'll oftentimes have the person just lie there and let everything integrate, let it soften into their bodies, and have them get up very slowly. It's quite common when you get off the table or you start to sit on the table that there's a little bit of a lightheadedness or a tiny bit of a dizziness, and we wait until that resolves itself before they get up and stand. And then I talk to them about how they feel.
Any age limits on this, or what age can you start doing this
Well,
in a child or?
yeah, you really, there's real benefits to starting with infants or newborns because the whole birth process is, it's a big deal. And if you have a baby, especially that's had very, very extreme bouts of crying or being uncomfortable or spitting up their food or whatever, quite often craniosacral can make that so much better and so fast. The infants can really make that shift very quickly. And it's kind of like a Jenga, where you stack
Yeah, I love
blocks.
that game. Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so if you, as an infant, get a very good solid foundation, then as you go through your life, you've started out really well. And if things are a little off, then they're off for a while. And even posturally and so
Oh,
forth. So from a little baby, from a infant all the way up to I've worked with people who are about ready to leave their bodies, and ready to pass, and just holding that space and presence so that they can really be connected inside and be fully able to
mm,
let go if they need to. So the widest range,
okay.
men, women, animals. I've worked on animals.
What about, I was going to say, and this has to be done in person, hands-on. Could you do some of your work though, virtually in a sense?
Yes,
Good.
I do remote sessions where we start out in a very similar way, talking about what's going on, and then
Hmm.
I invite the person, they'll be in their own home or their own office, and I'll have them find a comfortable place to either lean back in a recliner or to be on a bed or whatever they have that's comfortable. And we go through a session very much like we do in person. And it's really amazing how much, and I dialogue with them to see what's going on. And it does feel very similar to the things we do in person. It's remarkable.
Interesting. Well,
And
how often, and tell us how often people need these sessions. Thank you.
well, I think it's a range, but if I were suggesting, I'd probably say every other week at first, just
Okay.
to kind of clear things and to, especially depending on what they're going after. It could be they've had an accident or a fall or their knees are really hurting or whatever. I wouldn't go any longer than 2 weeks to see them again in an ideal situation. I have people that would come every week because they just like it and feel like it helps them. And then some people I see every few months, but my ideal is twice a month. I think people get the most from it.
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
and with all your experience, what's the first sign when you know it's working for someone? What do they
Yeah,
say?
yeah, it can vary. I mean, sometimes in a session it'll be as though a person's falling asleep. They're not usually really falling asleep, but they're moving to a level of awareness that's very deep. And one of the ways they can tell working is they get a much better quality of sleep.
Okay.
Their minds are a little sharper, more focused, and they have less stress or anxiety, even if we're having a session just to have somebody relax because they've been overloaded with a lot going on. Just, kind of asking for that deep relaxation is very healing. It's hard to do things when you've got a lot of stressors. And yeah, so that's how you would know you just feel a little better. Occasionally, people will feel a little worse at first, like maybe an upset stomach or
Okay.
a little dizziness or something, but that resolves itself just about every time and lets lets all the kind of good feelings in. I've had a lot of people say, or at least some people say in a session, I'm asking, dialoguing, how do they feel? And a lot of times people will say something to the effect of, I feel really heavy, and they're kind of relaxed into the table. And there's a lightness. So I feel they get a grounded sense of their body, but then there's an expansion of energy at the same time. And that's really a nice balance. Heavy, relaxed, wide and open.
Got it. Now, what
Yeah.
about the when you're doing this, are you also moving around like the brain fluid? Are you actually touching? Does that do something to them when your head when you're touching that?
Yeah, when you're holding the skull, primarily at first, you're just listening. You're seeing what's going on and feeling the two sides of the body and two sides of the skull. And the cerebral spinal fluid, as it's moving, and as I said, it can get kind of stuck or locked into an area. It's easier to feel that. Long ago, people thought the skull was just one piece, one bone. And then over time, they realized, no, there's a lot of different bones and they all move in different ways. It's very subtle, but it is happening. So I do you do feel the cerebral spinal fluid and tune into
Mm-hmm.
the nerves too. And sometimes nerves can be the last thing to release and lengthen, and sometimes the nerves are connecting with that fluid, and right away there's something you can tell or feel, and you ask the client, what are you noticing? And quite often they'll feel it if they're tuned in to their bodies at all, they'll feel something.
And
Uh,
there's like a pulse or something. What is it called?
Sometimes there's a pulse. So if I'm holding someone's head, I
Mhm.
might feel the cerebral spinal fluid go
Okay.
all the way to the tailbone up and come all the way down. We call it an inhalation and an exhalation of the cerebral spinal fluid. So I'll sit and wait for it to come up. And by focusing on it, it does its healing and it helps a person integrate. Sometimes in a session, you might feel more discomfort in a certain area. And then as you hold the space, that resolves and it shows you that it's healing and integrating.
Perfect.
So both work.
Wow. And what other healing modalities do you use in your sessions?
So quite often it's just craniosacral, but then sometimes if people say, "Oh, I've just had this shoulder issue or back issue," I have a background in yoga. I'm certified yoga teacher,
Mm-hmm.
yoga therapist. So at the end of the session, maybe I'll end a few minutes early and have them get off the table. And maybe you work at the wall because a lot of times at the wall, you can feel that vertical line, and I'll have people breathe up. And there's a fair number of folks that come in who don't have great posture. I mean, if you sat at an airport and watched everybody that walked by, you'd notice how rounded our shoulders. It's gotten to be more so.
Oh yeah,
It's
you
got,
got me. I'm like, ah, she sees me. I forget you're watching. But I,
that's
I,
right.
I hunch over myself. Yeah,
Yeah,
I get it.
many people do, and it's I think also from being on computers and being on cell phones,
Mm-hmm.
just tend to fall forward. We forget we even have a back body. So I'll have people use the wall as a reference. And another thing that's nice to do, if you can find a clear corner somewhere, you can put your arms up in sort of an L shape
Yeah.
and press your chest forward gently so that the shoulders and arms open, and then they'll fall more in the place you want them to be. So I use that. And then also just kind of trying to find out what is the person's interest,
Yeah.
maybe, and see if I can connect with them if I have that background and see how it is to work on them based on something they're interested in.
Yeah. Well, for someone like you just saw me hunched over here at the computer, as so many of us are, my new concern is the younger generation, let alone computer.
Yeah.
Mostly the children now on like my kids are 10 and 8 on the iPad and
Oh,
on the devices. My
yeah.
son just started physical therapy for his neck because of this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how does physical therapy work hand in hand with craniosacral therapy?
Oh, absolutely. And I would say in general, some people say, well, I kind of do the AMA thing, the allopathic
Oh, what's
doc,
AMA? Sorry.
American Medical
Got it.
Association. And
Okay.
allopathic is the kind of thing that we think of with doctors and so forth. And so even if you are going to a doctor or a physical therapist or a psychologist, going to a craniosacral therapist will support and boost what you get from those.
Okay.
Um, Things like migraines, insomnia,
Yeah.
dizziness, lots of things like that. And sometimes doctors have trouble kind of zeroing in on what they can do unless they're giving medications. But if you want to avoid medications, the craniosacral can really help with that. And then a lot of times, if I am helping someone beyond the cranial and doing a yoga therapeutics, I'll give them homework of maybe 2 or 3 things to do at home. And even like driving in the car, remembering to press the back of the head back into the headrest because you're busy, right? And you don't always have time to just stop and do exercises, but just rolling your shoulders back, relaxing them, and then pushing the back of the head into the headrest as you drive and then relax. Or maybe you have a little remembrance every time you go to a stop sign or a signal, that's your chance to press that head back. And we don't want to have rounded shoulders. And when the head is forward, it puts a great deal of tension on the back of the neck, which is probably what your son is experiencing. Lots, and it starts to be painful and it starts to cause headaches. You know,
Yeah, that's what's because he started football too. So now he has also a heavy helmet on his head. So
Oh,
his
yeah.
neck is bothering him. So the doctor
Yeah.
says, let's do that and check and make sure. So I'm like, all right,
Physical
interesting.
therapy is great. I mean, it really focuses on, just that thing that's bothering you. And then most good physical therapists will work on other parts of the body too to support that one area that's causing pain or they're bothered by it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And it's just, is too much too much? Do you need to rest? Could you get this done every day or do you need to rest?
Um, as far as these kind of exercises or as far as cranial sacral, which are you
The
referring?
craniosacral.
I mean, you could have it every day. I know that there was a convention. It was kind of like a camp, and a bunch of craniosacral therapists went to it, and they had several sessions a day for a week or so. I think it's a lot. I think the body needs a little time to take in and connect to what you've already done. But things like physical therapy and some of those exercises from uh, yoga therapy, I think they could be definitely done every day.
Oh,
Yeah, you couldn't overdo it. Just like kind of like medication, you wouldn't want to take too much medication, so you have to see what your body needs and then, check in.
oh, well, this, clearly is working. Has things changed over the years since you started doing this? Has there been any more discoveries or, different methods as far as craniosacral, or is things pretty much the same since you started doing it?
Well, I think what has happened there is the craniosacral therapy, which focuses a little. I'm not as familiar with it because I didn't study it, but they focus more on head, shoulders, and back. That's regular craniosacral, and biodynamic focuses on the whole body, just your ankle or shoulder or something. So that part's different. And a lot of the people at Craniosacral Therapy Organization are really trying to get some facts and do some studies to be able to bring the information out into um, the public, because you could easily have someone go, well, it's quackery. There's no evidence or whatever. So what they're doing now is trying to show more results of what's happened with us and have some people followed for a long time to see what their benefits are.
Got it. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we still got 3 more minutes left. And, gosh, we've been doing these shows for how long now?
Uh, 10
And
times.
is this our last show you were saying?
I think this is my 10th one, unless I hear
Hey.
differently.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's let everyone know how we can reach out to you and contact you directly, please.
Okay. So my website is debrahodgen.com, and that particular Debra is spelled Debra, and then last name is Hodgen.com. And the practice is called Debra Hodgen Wellness. And when they get on the website, kind of explain some of the things we talked about. And my phone number is there and prices are there and so forth. I try to be a tiny bit lower price wise than other people in the area, just so people don't have to not come because of their, oh,
No, you there. Because of their, I'm like,
Deborah
did we
Hodgen,
freeze?
Deborah Hodgen at, no, debrahodgen.com is my website. Debrahodgen.com is my website. Someone was correcting me. And my email is debrahodgen@me.com. So I keep it all in the same line.
All right, as you should. Well, it's been a pleasure working with you, and I hope
Yes.
maybe it's not our last, so we'll say till next time in case. But
Yes.
thank you and over the course of the past few weeks, and bringing on different guests to talk about the other modalities that work hand in hand and how you've met other people. It's just really assuring to know that this technique is something spectacular, and with the work you're doing to help so many. So thank you for doing that. I think it made our
You're
show
welcome. Thanks
really
for
interesting
hosting.
with your guests. So thank them for us too. Okay.
I will.
All right,
Thank
Debra. Enjoy
you.
your day. Bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.